In this video, I'm pushing my Minecraft prison escaping abilities to their absolute limit. Let me explain. A lot of you know me from this series where I break out of bedrock prisons in Minecraft, and this series does really well because you guys like it. A lot. But in this series, I designed the prisons as a test for the viewer, so I obviously know how to solve them. But what would happen if I didn't design the prison? Would I still be able to escape? That's what we're going to put to the test in this video. I had some of my friends build a prison for me to try to break out of. We named the prison Frost Giant, and it's really fitting because this prison is extremely massive. Before I went in, I was told two things. I can break any blocks I want, and if the guard sees me leave the prison, I lose. This didn't make sense at the start, but it makes a lot of sense later on. So here's me on the starting platform, and here goes my attempt to bring down the Frost Giant. I started off by assessing my situation. I was obviously very high up in a bedrock tower on some sort of ice platform. Nothing else really jumped out to me though, so I decided to go for the easiest way to escape. I jumped off the tower to kill myself. Basically, if they had forgot to set my spawn point in the tower, this would have sent me back to my bed and I'd have escaped the prison. Unlucky for me though, they did remember to set my spawn. After this, I realized there was a chest floating behind me on the wall. The problem was I couldn't access it from the ice platform. That's until I realized if I shifted all the way over the edge and jumped and got the angle just right, I could get into it. Now I had an oak log, a daylight sensor, and a furnace, and this is where the first real puzzle of the prison began. The first thing I thought of, and probably a lot of you did too, was to turn the log into 4 planks, but before I did this, I tried to think about what I would use them for, and the only thing I could think of would be to build myself out, but it wouldn't be enough blocks. But as it turns out, there's actually a way more important use for the log. We were going to smelt it into charcoal, and I know what you're thinking, we don't have any fuel, but you're wrong. Daylight sensors can be used as fuel. Your next question might be, what's the point of smelting the wood? Well, we're on an ice platform, and when ice touches a light level of 12 or higher, it has a chance to melt. Smelting produces a light level of 13 all around the furnace. This means if you put the furnace in the middle of the platform and start smelting the log, every piece of ice around the furnace has a chance to melt in the water, and that's exactly what happens. I take my charcoal, and once the water hits the bottom, I jump down to investigate the next area. As I'm falling though, I'm looking at the bedrock walls to see if anything stands out, but they just look like normal bedrock walls to me, so I head down to the next room. The first thing I notice about the next room is it's really dark because there's no light sources inside of it. The second thing I notice is these brown mushrooms in each corner. I collect both the mushrooms and keep looking around. I see there's a 1x1 tunnel with a piece of bedrock missing in the middle that leads to the next room, but I have no way to crawl through the tunnel, so I can't use it. I continue to look around the room, and I had the idea that maybe the water went even lower and I didn't realize, but this was wrong. So at this point, I really didn't know what to do. I decided I must have missed something previously, and I went back to look for it. But this is where the next problem began. I couldn't figure out what I missed. I went all the way back to the start of the prison, and I didn't see anything new. I started to question myself. I thought maybe I should have turned the log into planks after all. I just kept looking around frantically, trying to figure out what I missed. I inspected the bedrock walls again to see if there was any holes I overlooked, but just like I thought, they were solid bedrock walls. I decided to go back to the room to see if I missed something in there when this happened. Wait! Oh my god. Turns out this room was not dark on accident. They intentionally put no lights in here to try to hide this pressure plate. So I threw one of my brown mushrooms on the pressure plate to see what would happen. The tunnel filled with water, and I was actually able to swim through it. All I saw in the middle was a piston that was holding back the water originally. I continued to the room with the lava. The first thing I noticed was the brewing stand. Inside the brewing stand was 2 netherwort. On the wall there was also a blaze powder. The only other thing in this room was some lava that was flowing to a room below, but the fall was too high to survive. Given the brewing stand and the blaze powder, my first thought was to craft a fire resistance potion, but we were missing 2 main things, the magma cream and the water bottle. Either way though, we definitely missed something because we weren't able to progress. We were stuck again. So I swam back and reset the brown mushroom so it didn't respawn, and then I checked if the pressure plate changed anything else in the riddle, but all the rooms looked the same. We were trapped, until I remembered rule 2. I can break any blocks I want. Originally I ignored this piston because I assumed it was part of the redstone and didn't want to mess it up. But it was part of the level, which means I was allowed to mine it, and to my surprise, all the items I needed for the fire resistance potion were hidden behind it. So I used the blaze powder, 1 netherwort, and the magma cream to craft some fire resistance potions, and now I had access to the next area. The first thing I tried to do was swim up the lava, but there was a block in my way. I punched it and I could tell from the particles coming off of it, it was bedrock. So I tried to go down. When I caught myself in the lava though, I could see it kept going. So I swam to the bottom. There was bedrock blocking me at the bottom, but there was also a room. Inside of it was just 1 emerald. So I took it. There didn't seem to be anything else at the bottom of the lava, so I swam out and inspected the room. I couldn't really find anything important in the first room, so I went through the doorway to see what else there was. There was a 2-block jump, and on the other side of it was some sort of snowy ice bridge with an item in the middle of it. Luckily, I had my piston so I could make the jump. The item on the bridge ended up being a diamond sword with the best enchantment in the game, Bane of Arthropods 5. After I got that, I broke the snow to see what was below me. I could see a few spiders and I felt like I would survive the fall, but I didn't really see a way for me to get back up if I went down there, so I didn't. At the other end of the hallway was a 2-block fall that led to a room with an emerald in it, and we had now officially hit our third problem. Basically, if I went down that 2-block fall, there's no guarantee I'd get the blocks to get back up, but I tried to think what the alternative was. I could use the fire resistance potion to swim back from where I came, but there was no blocks up there that would help me anyway. I tried to see if I could collect the piston while at the same time jumping up, but I couldn't get it to happen. So basically, by process of elimination, I decided I must have to go down the 2-block drop. I collected the emerald and went into the next room. I was greeted by a villager with these trades: 3 emeralds for 3 golden carrots, or 4 emeralds for 3 glistening melons. I also collected 2 sugarcane and a sand from one side, and 2 bamboo and a sand from the other side. I now had the 2 blocks I needed to get back up the drop from before. I reviewed the trades again, but I couldn't tell which one I needed to buy, and it didn't matter because I couldn't afford either of them anyway. So I continued along the prison. I entered a bedrock hallway that I followed to what ended up being the exit of the prison, but I also encountered the biggest problem yet. At the end of the hallway was a guard staring through a glass window at the exit of the prison, and though I could easily run past him, don't forget the rule they gave me at the start: if the guard sees me leave the prison, I lose. I was honestly pretty upset because obviously if the guard's right there, he's gonna see me leave the prison, so I decided there must be another way out. I turned around and went to go think about what I could have missed, and I used the 2 sand to build myself back to the ice bridge. I tried to think about what I was overlooking and if the new items changed anything. I knew I hadn't been to the spider area yet, but I didn't have a way to get down there and back up. Unless I did. There was a strategy I had, but it needed a stick. And I didn't have a stick. At least that's what I thought until I remembered the most obscure craft in the game. 2 bamboo creates a stick, and then I used the stick and the charcoal from the start of the prison to make torches. Then I just placed the torch on the wall. Remember how I said smelting can melt ice because its light level is 13? Torches have a light level of 14. I waited for the ice to melt, and when it did, I went down there. The whole room was surrounded by bedrock, and there was a few spiders I had to kill, but when I did, I realized there was a whole spider spawner. This means I had infinite access to spider eyes and string. But I really didn't see how this changed much, and I was still really stuck. That's until this happened. I was running back to the villager to see his trades because I was trying to think of a way out. I ended up falling into the water, but this was a blessing in disguise because I realized the water in front of the villager was 2 blocks deep, and I hadn't seen this before. This means I could swim into it, and when I did, I found a 3rd emerald. I went back to the villager because now I had enough to buy the golden carrots if I wanted to, but I tried to think if this was the right decision. And that's when I realized how to escape the prison. The most important part of this rule was seize me. I was going to walk right past the guard and he wasn't going to see me at all. I bought the golden carrots and went back to the lava room. I drank a fire resistance potion and climbed up the water back to the potion room. Once I was there, I got in the water and filled up 2 of my empty bottles. Then I went back to the brewing stand and used my last nether wart to start brewing some potions. While I was doing that, I turned my sugarcane into sugar and crafted a fermented spider eye with some of the ingredients I had. I added the fermented spider eye to the night vision potions and brewed the key to my escape: potions of invisibility. I walked right back to the exit and drank a potion of invisibility. Then, as an invisible man, I was able to walk right in front of the guard and make my escape. This prison has officially been cracked.